Double Dog dare you to double dip on that Dita review. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you could go ahead and be so kind to like and subscribe. Because when you do that, it lets me know that you care, and I like to know whenever you care. So as of right now, my Iron Man Dita sunglass video is my #1. So again, I would like to thank everyone who watched that one. Everyone, including Dita, who saw the video and liked it so much that they decided to gift me some of their new sunglass collection, the Dita-Lanciers. Is it Dita-Lancier? Lanciers? I'm gonna say Lanciers for the rest of the review. Hope that's not wrong. So yes, Dita did gift me this pair. So Dita, if you're watching, thank you so much for sending me such a fantastic pair of sunglasses. So Dita, why do you have to do this? Why do you have to compromise my YouTuber integrity like this? Send me a monumentally great pair and expect me to be honest and objective about this? Oh yeah, spoiler alert, the frames and lenses are completely fantastic. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's really take a deep look and figure out what the Dita-Lancier collection is really all about. The Lancier collection is Dita's foray into high contrast specialized lenses, with each different lens designed around a niche activity, with the 3 lens specializations of either being land, sea, or air. Wait a minute. Land, sea, or air? Land, sea, air? Land, sea, air? Lancier! But I actually think it's a very big deal that Dita is doing something like this. For Dita to actually go out and decide that they're going to make specialized, high contrast, color enhancing lenses is something very commendable. And in launching these frames, Dita decided not to just retrofit these lenses into existing models. Rather, Dita has decided to launch all new frames to accommodate the lenses. Frames that are actually designed to endure what the lenses are meant for. The grueling demands of high-end adventuring. So, before we get into actually talking about the lenses, let's talk about the frames themselves. This particular model is the Dita-Lancier LSA Model 101 in the black palladium frame with the C lens. It is an aviator type frame with the full titanium construction. Titanium is very important because it's light and durable, but also it's very hard to work with. So that's very important later on when we get into some of the detailing, knowing that all of this has to be done on titanium. I mean, obviously Dita is known for their titanium work. I mean, the last one I reviewed, the Tony Stark Flight 006, that was an all titanium construction too. But I feel like this frame, Dita went with a different approach with titanium. See, a lot of other times whenever a sunglass manufacturer might use titanium, I feel like they might use titanium for its lightness. And here I feel like Dita used titanium for its strength. So I don't know, it could just be the way I feel that the use of titanium was for its strength rather than its weight. They're light, sure, actually incredibly light considering how much material is actually used on these frames. But I just feel like the use of titanium in this frame, the lightness is merely just a symptom of what the overall desired result was, strength and durability. So yes, a big factor to this frame is how strong the frame itself feels. So yes, a big reason why it feels so strong is because it's titanium, but also it is very well bolstered. It feels like Dita looked at every single potential weak point of the frame and said, okay, let's triple reinforce that area right there. For example, look at right here at this bridge. See, most of the time whenever an aviator is made, it's one thin piece of metal that's bolted here and here. Dita, on the other hand, said, no, we're going to make it a very thick piece of metal and we're going to bolt it to the frame at 4 different spots instead of 2. And that level of examine and dedication and reinforcing goes all throughout the entire frame, not just right here, but also like right here, the integrated hinges. It's just an extremely bolstered and very strong frame. I mean, the integrated hinges just make this frame feel just so solid, while on a lot of other frames, right there at the hinge might be a weak spot of the frame. And stuff like that just continues throughout the entire frame. I mean, look at this lens casing. This lens casing is very thick. Yeah, you heard me. I just said thick lens casing. But seriously, look, this is a standard Ray-Ban aviator. And look how thin that lens casing is. As opposed to look at the Dita, it's so much thicker of a lens casing covering up the lens from going from the standard Ray-Ban aviator to the Dita-Lancier. The best way I could possibly describe the build construction of this frame is it feels industrial strength. It just seriously feels like Dita said, okay, we are going to build a frame for the adventures of the upper crust outdoorsman and not compromise. It feels like they said, we're going to build it for the demands of that environment. Because I've seen it happen kind of the other way. I've seen high-end frame makers decide they're going to do a more sporting and adventure type collection, and it kind of happens with mixed results. That's not the case with these. These really feel like they are built for the adventures that they are marketing for. But lest you think that Dita just went out and made a utility frame, Dita still does what I think Dita does best, and that is overt detailing. And what I mean by that is it doesn't always pertain to sunglasses, but sunglasses are a very good indicator of this mark, is that you see a lot of other makers with detailing kind of hide the details in the margins. So it's just kind of stuff that's smaller that you don't see at a distance or at first glance, but more time you spend with it, you notice it does have those smaller detailing. So what I think Dita really likes to do is they like to take those smaller details that you kind of see in the margins and really pull them up and put them on the marquee. So whenever you see this, you immediately go, okay, there is a lot of detailing to that. And there is. And more you actually live with it, more you actually see some of the smaller, more interesting details. But it's definitely there, and it's definitely in the forefront, showing off that Dita likes to do detail, and they like to do detail very well. I mean, it just looks like Dita poured over every millimeter of the frame and said, what can we add here, while also keeping the macro aesthetics of the frame cohesive. So with that said, let's touch base on some of the details. So let's start with the very thick lens casing. As I said earlier, it's a very thick lens casing. But if you look closer, you actually see this very in-tight squared off pattern that actually runs throughout the entire frame itself. I don't know, it's just something very interesting to me, and it's something I haven't seen on any other frame. Then looking at the arms of the frame, if you look right here at the profile piece, it just looks like it's one continuous piece of metal and there's not really any kind of taper to it. But if you actually take a look at the top-down perspective, you can see how the metal is very thick and then it quickly tapers out into that. So it's very thick right here at the temples, and then it tapers down. And then if you look closely at the top of that chunk, you can see this two tiny little etched lines running through right there at the temples. And the intricacies don't stop with the metal, because if you look right here at the silicone ear socks, you can actually see that there's a small little amount of beveling that goes into the ear socks themselves. And a few last little bit of details that I'd like to point out to before moving on to the lenses. The first is back on the ear sock. You can see that there's nothing really holding these in place. A lot of times it might be like a very tight seal, but what they decided to do is have their little Dita hexagonal bolt kind of going through the ear socks and connecting the ear socks to the frame itself. And the second is, if you look right here at the ear socks, you notice that it opens up here at the back with a golden little loop right here. And what that loop actually allows for is the clip-on of the Dita-Lancier straps. So let's stop talking about the frame and let's start talking about the lenses, because guess what? Dita has carried on with the detailing from the frame to the lenses. Because if you watched my Dita Flight 006 review, you'll notice that I talked in detail about the etching on the lens, and that how Dita is the only people I've ever seen to actually write out Dita and the actual frame model of the on the lens itself, and that continued here. You see right here it says Dita-Lancier, but Dita has two Dita, and so they went one step further. You see, like I said earlier, the Dita-Lancier collection is actually based off 3 different lens types, and right here you can see each logo. See the horizontal stripes right here, that means that they're made for the land. If you see the zigzaggy lines right here, that means that they're the sea lens. And if you see the vertical striping right here, what that means is the air lens. And I think all we need left is the fire lens, and then we get Lilu. So if you look right here, Dita actually decided to etch the type of lens it is on the actual lens itself. So you can see the squiggly lines marking that this is actually the sea lens. I mean, just what? That's incredible. Who does that? So I think we've talked about detail to death. Let's actually talk about the optics and performance of the lens itself. First thing I want to talk about these lenses is the level of clarity, because it's impossible how clear these lenses are. The lens clarity on this is impeccable. I don't think I've seen anything else like this, especially with a non-glass lens. I will draw some more comparisons from my last video, which if you haven't watched that, go watch that now, where I compared the lens performance between the Maui Gem and the Ray-Ban Chromances. But I will draw some comparison of the Dita-Lanciers to both of those. So on the basis of lens clarity, it blows both of them out of the water. Pun halfway intended. And the next thing is they were able to minimize the glow of an anti-reflective lens to a degree I didn't think was possible. See, anti-reflection is a small coating on the inside of the lens that reduces glare coming from behind the lens. But with one small drawback of that is with anti-reflection lenses is that it minimizes the amount of reflection that comes off, but the reflection that you do see is usually like a very ghosting color. It's a very blue or green, or depending on kind of what type of materials they use to create the anti-reflection, you do get a clearer view. However, you do get kind of some weird reflection, and it's usually like this very bright, what I like to call like a ghosting mirror to it. And each anti-reflective lenses will have some of that ghosting to some extent. Except with these, I get next to no ghosting on that. I don't really see my eyes, I don't really see any of that, I don't see any of that blue mirror for the most part. It's very good. I mean, it's very good to the level I didn't know it was possible. See, in comparing these to the Maui Jim or the Ray-Ban Chromance lenses, it's in my experience, these kind of lean a little bit closer to the Ray-Ban Chromance side of things, where it doesn't heighten natural colors so much as it really heightens man-made or artificial colors. But these lenses are also very good at neutralizing dull colors from both man-made and nature. So with colors like heavy blues and grays and browns get their volume turned down, it really amplifies red, whites, and yellows. An aspect I think is very desirable in a sea lens, especially for sailing, because if you spent any time on a sailboat, you notice that there's a lot of white ropes that you need to distinguish between, and it's very good to kind of neutralize everything else in the background and really heighten the things you want to see. So white ropes, red pulleys, yellow signs, I don't know. But as far as a fishing application goes, I really took these around to some of the murkiest waters I could find, and with great surprise, I had an impressive level of clarity looking into the water. I put these on it. Of course, the polarized takes off the original kind of surface glare you get off the sun, but I'm able to kind of look deeper into the water and see movement of fish, turtles, Loch Ness monsters, debris, all that kind of stuff. I'm able to see better with these lenses than I would with maybe another pair of polarized lenses that aren't designed to be looking at great bodies of water. All in all, I love these frames. I really do. These were the Ditas I was considering getting for a very long time, and I'm glad that I actually have them. They're a really great pair of frames with a really great pair of lenses, and I do feel like Dita has gone out of the way to make sure that this stands out. I really like them a lot. I only have kind of two very small minor points of criticism, and your mileage on this might vary. Just know if you want to know my opinion, I love them. The only two small things that I think could be improved upon, and they're very small and negligible honestly, is that with the lenses, I wish that there was a little bit higher in color contrast. I wish it made things pop a little bit more, but I feel like the way that Dita has designed these, they decided that they are perfect for that environment that they're designed in. Me personally wearing them, sometimes I like to see a greater kind of punch of color, but the amount of stuff that they're able to do in this kind of gray lens is still remarkable. The other thing is the ear stalks. I wore these for, I think, a very long period of time. I think 8 to maybe 10 hours in a stretch with barely taking them off. And only after that long amount of time, these kind of started to feel a little rough behind the ears. But again, that's after a very long period of time. Almost anything else would kind of irritate me a little bit, but it's just something that I noticed that I think if these were just a little bit softer, that would feel better over that really long extended period of time. But like I said, it wasn't until I wore these all day did it start to bother me, even in the slightest. So let's talk briefly about the packaging. As you can see right here, this is the packaging that they come in. It's different than the Dita Flight 006s. It's this very nice kind of, again, it looks like it belongs in an adventure outdoor shop, this kind of packaging right here. And then you see the Dita-Lancier Land, Sea, and Air logo's right here, and it's a flip up from here at the bottom, and that reveals the actual case itself. And the case itself is this softer leather construction with this little button opening right here. You just have to pull open to reveal the glasses inside. And then as you open it, of course, you can see the Lancier logos right there and the Dita logo on the outside. And then actually I just noticed this about the cleaning cloth, that if you move in tight, it says Dita-Lancier on the actual cleaning cloth. And if you look on the back, of course, right there, you'll see that it has the Lancier brand logos. Because Dita went one step further to actually design detail into a lens cloth. I mean, Dita, why do you gotta be so cool? Yes, I love these. I really do. I'm excited to have them, and I'm probably going to get more use out of these than the Flight 006s. I love them both, but I can see myself probably wearing these a little bit more anytime I kind of go outside or outdoorsing. When I take the suit off, I'll probably reach for these. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to like it, share it to someone else who you think might like it, and if you want to see more, you can click right here to subscribe, or you can click right here to watch more. And I'll see you later.